Hey there, audio friends, MrAyrit here. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be looking at a little device today that's an all-in-one DAC amp for gaming purposes. This is the Fosi Audio K5 Pro Mini Stereo Gaming DAC. That's what it says on the front of it. Fosi sent this out to me to review. They're not paying or asking me to say anything in particular about this device. All of the audio that you're hearing is coming through the Fosi today, through my little lavalier mic, which is my standard gaming setup, although usually I'm running out of an Xbox controller, okay? So what we'll do here is we'll look at what comes with this device. We'll look at the inputs, outputs, all that kind of stuff, controls, and then we'll talk about the functionality of it and whether it might fit into your setup. So first off, looking at accessories, it comes with everything you need to get it up and running. You got a USB-C cable, standard USB-C to USB-A. You've got a little adapter so you can plug in a headset that might have, you know, a built-in microphone to it. And if you only have a 3.5 TRRS connector, then that would be where you would use this, and you would plug it into both the ports on the front of the device. And it also comes with an optical cable, which I appreciate just because you've got, again, everything you would need to get set up, potentially. If we take a tour of the device, now you can see it's hooked up because I'm actually using it right now. And you've just got two 3.5 plugs, one for headphone, one for microphone. You've got an LED indicator up here at the top that shows you what your source is. And then you've got tone controls and volume control, and the volume control you can push it in to change inputs as well on the device. If we swing around to the back here, you've got pretty standard stuff for a little DAC like this. USB-C in, that's power as well. You've got an optical and a coax in, and then you've got RCA out, so you can use this as a preamp if you'd like to do that. So all in all, it's a nice little form factor. It's pretty much the same size as the Topping DX1, which is another all-in-one DAC amp, except this does not have a microphone set up on it. So it's not a direct competitor, but you know, it's kind of similar. Really, the Fosi here would be going up against something like the Schiit Mjolnir, which I do have a review for that, which I'll link to down below, but I do not have it on hand for this comparison here. All in all, the build is really good, really solid. Knobs feel good. I have no issues there. Tone controls, you know, they're okay for what they are. I'm not a big believer in EQing a whole lot of stuff, but at least the options there if you want to tweak a little bit of bass or a little bit of kind of lower treble is where it seems to be identified. So kind of like mid bass and then lower treble is what those tone controls seem to address to me. If we're talking about specs here, I've got the manual right here. I can just read off a few specs for you. So they say that this thing is compatible with the PC, Mac, PS5, PS4 Pro, Switch, and phones. And then it has bitrate up to 24192, 2496 through USB, 24192 through optical or coax. It says it'll drive headphones 16 to 300 ohms, 1 watt into 16 ohms, 500 milliwatts into 32 ohms, and then all the way down to 80 milliwatts into 300 ohms. So you should be able to use a pretty good range of headphones on this device and not have much trouble driving them. Now, as far as my use case goes, this is the first time I'm getting to try out the microphone because I game on an Xbox, which unfortunately this thing is not compatible with. I wouldn't blame that on Fosi though. That seems to be pretty general across the board that like just Xbox stuff doesn't support audio devices through USB-C. And I don't have my PS5 anymore, but when I did, I honestly felt like most USB things didn't work great with that either, but I can't comment on the Fosi specifically with that. As far as audio quality goes, when I had it hooked up to my Xbox, I was running through the optical. And unfortunately, with the optical cable, I did notice some background hiss and hum when I turned the volume up about to 12 o'clock. Now, that's way louder than I would need to actually listen to the device, but it was very noticeable when no audio was coming out actually. So that's just something to be aware of. I did not have those same issues when I was using the USB through my Mac Mini. So when I did that, it was a totally clean signal, sounded just fine. I would largely say that the sound of this device is unremarkable. It's not really good, it's not really bad, it functions. In the past, when I used the Schiit Fulla, the last version of it that I used when I had my PS5, when I tried to run USB audio through that, and even when I was using the optical, I didn't find the imaging to be very crisp. So I couldn't use it for gaming. I did not think it did a very nice job. The Fosi, I did not have that problem with. So I thought the imaging was good. Is it better audio than what was just coming out of my Xbox controller with like some easy to drive headphones? Like I'm using the DT900X from Beyerdynamic right now, and these have been my main gaming headphones of late. I didn't really notice much improvements, if any, through that. When I was using it from a computer for audio just to listen to IEMs, and I tried my KSC75s too through my M1 MacBook Air that I use at work, I thought it was a noticeable improvement in quality over the built-in headphone jack, but it's certainly not going to be anything audio quality-wise that's going to blow your socks off when it comes to, you know, details and resolution and things like that. I'd say it's pretty average for its price, which means it's good enough if you're looking for an all-in-one device like this to use at your computer. And really, I think that's who this is probably for, is for people that are gaming at their computer. You have a sound card that you don't feel like works very well, or you just want the convenience of having volume control and tone controls and everything sitting on your desk as far as inputs, outputs go, and you don't want to be reaching around the tower of a PC or something like that. That's who this device, I think, is really for, and in that regard, I feel like it checks all of the boxes. So at the time of recording this review, this thing is marked at $79.99, but there's a $20 coupon, which means this is a $60 device, which means it undercuts the Fulla by quite a significant amount. So I would say, by all means, if you're looking for just a very simple, easy to use DAC amp headphone interface that you can just put at your desk, I think this is going to be perfectly adequate for that use case. And for 60 bucks, I think it's a pretty good deal, honestly. Now, if you're looking for a step up in audio quality from this, I do think the DX1 provides a better headphone out, and I do think it is noticeably improved over the Fosi in audio quality. And then even I have an iFi Uno on hand as well, which doesn't, again, is more like the DX1, and it doesn't have microphone inputs or things like that, and it also only has USB-C. But if you don't need the mic inputs and you're using USB-C, that also, I really like the sound quality of that thing for just music and general media consumption. So the Fosi, I think, is a great starting point, good price, do-it-all box, but there are lots of other options out there at this price point. But so if you don't need the microphone input. So yeah, I'd recommend this if you're looking for just like a starter DAC for sure. I don't have any problems with it, definitely not. The only issue, like I said, is that optical signal. And so when I was running again from the optical out of my TV into this to play Xbox with, that little bit of noise, that might be a deal breaker for some people. But if you're using USB, which is where I think most people are probably going to use this, I think you're totally good to go. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this review. So again, I'm always open to alternative views and opinions and just getting more people to share their experiences. So if you want to do that down below in the comments, that would be fantastic. If you're interested in more headphone content, more DACs, more amps, more talk about audio for gaming and things like that, you might consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already, because I will have more videos along those lines coming up before too terribly long. Thank you to Fosi for sending this out. I'm going to link to the K5 Pro down below so you can purchase it if it sounds like something that you're interested in. As always, I thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the next one.